He is the free American, Clay Douglas. We know what we need. We know who to blame. Catch the Free American Hour weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change. For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon the finest first, those who will truly understand her. When freedom is in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots first share the call. When loss of liberty is
All right, I just lost everything. All right, I just lost everything.
free American. Take it away, Clayton.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Show. My guest today is David Kaas, author of Farm Physics, a man that would like to run for president. And my thoughts on that? Why not? Hello, David. How are you? Can you hear me, David?
Yes, I can, Clayton. I'm here and ready to speak.
All right. You know, we got some things up I wanted to talk about, and one is basically the attempted murder of our of us, of our people, of our children. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's called the vaccine hoax, as Dr. Carly has pointed out on my show. She's a regular on my shows. The vaccines are basically weapons of mass destruction, and Andrew Baker has put this out. Freedom of Information Act in the UK filed by the doctor there, has revealed that 30 years of secret official documents showing that the government experts have, one, known the vaccines don't work, known they cause the diseases they are supposed to prevent, known they are a hazard to children, and colluded to lie to the public, and worked to prevent safety studies. And those are the same vaccines that are mandated to the children in the U.S. Educated parents can either get their children out of harm's way or continue living inside of one of the filed in the U.S. with the CDC by a doctor with an autistic son seeking information on what the on October 26, 2011, a Denver Post editorial expressed shock that the Obama administration, after promising to be especially transparent, was proposing changes to the Freedom of Information Act that would allow it to go on beyond declaring some documents secret and to actually allow government agencies such as the CDC to declare some document non-existent. Now, simultaneously, to this ongoing massive CDC cover-up involving its primary health, not recommendation, but mandate for American children, the CDC is in deep trouble over its decades of covering up the damaging effects the threat to the lives of the American people posed by the CDC behavior does not stop there. It participated in design pandemic laws that are on the books of every state in the U.S. David, what do you think about that? David, are you with me?
Well, I got a posting this morning, Clayton, and on my Gmail. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can now.
Okay. It's read that Dr. Karen Starko had discovered in 1918 to 1919 a pandemic hoax was created using aspirin. And ever since then, all of the vaccines that we've received as children are all poison. And right at the moment, Australia is under siege. Their newspapers and everything are putting out articles that say if you don't get your children vaccinated, they're going to be rounded up and herded into a group of isolated children, and they're not going to be allowed any rights or anything. In fact, I just read recently, too, that to get food stamps in this country are going to be required to get vaccinated. And all this is just designed to kill us, dumb us down and eventually take our lives. So anybody out there that's thinking about getting their newborn son or daughter vaccinated, I would think twice about that, because it's not going to do anything for them, and it will eventually kill them. So that's the news that's coming out. You know, nowadays, Clayton, I don't even listen to any of the broadcast news or television news or any of the large newspapers' content, because it's all lies, it's all deceptions. The best news to listen to is the stuff you hear on the internet, right here on your program. There's a few other programs and a few other sites like intelhub.com and, like I say, a few other ones. But the best, the cleanest, the most accurate news is heard right here today.
Well, you know, they've written it in stone, David. Georgia Guidestones. They wrote it in stone that they need to reduce the world's population to a manageable 500 million. I estimate after they blow up Dimona, and I think they'll do that just to get the final real 6 million Jews. You know, that they've been telling us about the Hola hoax for 100 years. I mean, come on, folks. The whole 6 million Jews were threatened in the Ukraine. They wrote about that in the New York Times in 1913. I suspect that, and these elite are not these Jews who say they're Jews but are not, are of the synagogue of Satan, as Jesus told us. They'll sacrifice their own people, their own dupes in a heartbeat. Just the same way they're sacrificing the Christians that they're sending to fight in these false wars. I mean, this isn't to protect our great democracy. I mean, we never had a democracy in the first place. What we had is a republic until 1913, until the Jewish Rothschilds instituted the Federal Reserve here, and the only reason we got the Federal Reserve here is because they couldn't use the same tactics in America that they used in Russia, where they murdered the Tsar and his family and installed communism, or as Rabbi Weiss put it, some call it communism, I call it Judaism for the masses. So we're all at risk here, both the Christians, the Judeo-Christians, and the Jews themselves are at risk here from these psychopaths. These are psychopaths that want to control the population, that want to keep us as basically slaves. They have improved the age of slavery, the art of slavery, to the point that the slave don't know they're slaves. I'm not a slave. I can go get on my I can go get my pickup and go get a beer. Watch. I'm not a slave. It's called economic slavery. Well, and every time you pay your mortgage, every time you buy pharmaceuticals, go ahead, David.
Well, what I've been trying to figure out and piece together in my own mind for the past couple of years is how does a small group of controllers actually get all this baloney done, you know, and cause us all to fall flat on our faces. And, you know, if it was like a group of individuals that could continue their existence for 500 to 1,000 years, then I could understand it. But there's a few levels that are not known of that are affecting all of us, and that's the demonic or archon group, which is the devils, and they've interbred a long time ago with the hierarchy of Europe, the Rothschilds, and a few crooks over here in this country. All of our presidents are all related for the last 100 years, and that's the DNA that was put into their systems a long time ago. But so what it is, you know, there are humans that are crooked as can be, like the Rothschilds and the elite. And but what I understand is the Bilderberg meetings, which are primarily attended by the large shareholders and company owners around the world for the food manufacturing and whatnot. Those meetings aren't really attended by the ones that are making the big decisions. It's these shadow families that there's only a very, very few of that are, like I say, affected by the archons or demons, as they're known as, and they've been driven down to this planet at this time, and they're just waiting for their introduction into the famous lake of fire.
Well, I think the so-called demons. I don't necessarily agree with the demons. I think people have been possessed, and we're born with free will, David. You know, that's kind of God's gift and His curse to us. We can choose to be good or evil. And if you choose to take advantage of other people, if you choose to rip off other people, if you choose to kill other people, then you're evil, and you're probably being motivated by the so-called demons. But you know, I'm seeing these demons are these negative people here. And remember, you know, you've been told by Jesus and by the Bible that God is love, and love is your level of vibrational energy. On the lower end of that scale is where you have the demons, the Hitlers, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bushes, the psychopaths, because psychopaths always rise to power because they don't mind lying. They don't mind doing the cold needry. That absolves them of any obligation for truthfulness.
Right. Well, one of the big questions that really does need to be answered is, what are we all doing here in the first place? People always ask me, they go, well, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Allah. I don't believe in anything. I'm just here for the moment. I've got to get as much as I can for myself and my kids and my family and whoever. And they just want to stock it all up and put it in the bank. And I try to tell them, I go, listen, all this is just a facade. This is just for practice. And when you get out of here, it might be today or tomorrow, you're not going to take any of it with you. And they all go, well, what are we doing here then? And what I've been told by the Creator themselves is that the reason we're all living and breathing every time around, we get reincarnated several times, is a test. And the test is to see whether you're going to live and breathe and share everything you get with your neighbors. And all this is for the judgment day, so to speak. Every individual one of us get judged at some time or another by our own actions, not by anybody's choice, but by our own actions that we've done, either good or bad. And then we're given, if we make the grade, what we get is our own planet to start raising our own individual sons and daughters on through several incarnations. We will actually become a son or daughter of the Creator, and we'll be allowed to create on a particular planet somewhere in the universe. And that's what's been going on for a long time. That's why we've got like over 200 planets with life on them right at the moment, is because a lot of us have made the grade, and we're allowed to begin creating. I'm sure that's where Jesus has been for the last 2,000 years, is starting up his own planet. And you get to do this with your 7 female incarnates, if you're a male, and the 8 of you will start your own planet up. And that's what we're doing here in the first place. That's what it's all for, and that's why you're supposed to share and care about each other. It's not just to get as much as you can and get to the top of the pile, so to speak. It's a judgment of how well you did and how much you shared and cared while you were incarnated here several different times. But that's what it's all for. And that's what I'm doing at the moment here. I've kind of given up on becoming a millionaire or a billionaire, and I don't care about what kind of car I drive, and I don't care about anything anymore. I'm just a nice guy. And like you said earlier in your programs, I'm going to be running for president in 2016, and I hope to have Jesse Ventura as my VP candidate. He's about the very best man for the job, and he's had plenty of experience. Count it as many times as they have to, and as many times as they need to get a accurate count. But that's what we're all going to do, and we're going to know after that election count. I would suggest that everyone keep their heads down and watch out for the forces that be that are in power at the moment. The police are even being misled. The military is being brought in, and there's a lot of nasty, nasty stuff going on. I wouldn't suggest you pick up a gun and use it. I just say give it up to the police and smile at the judge and be a nice guy until then. But then, after that election, we're going to take it all back, Clayton. We're going to
years.
up around the Chicago World's Fair, lit it completely at coming into the voting age now, and these are the young ones, the ones that are still in high school. The juniors and seniors this year are going to be voting in 2016, and this is the majority of our votes. This is the biggest group of people that are going to be casting a vote in 2016 are the ones that are still in high school right now, the juniors and seniors. And these are the people that are going to make the difference in their own future as well as our future. We're kind of getting towards the top of the group now, and there's getting to be less and less of
I mean, before I ever went to grade school, they taught I could read 1,000 words a minute in the first grade, thanks to my grandparents. And you know, they've tried to destroy the family. They've also tried to destroy our schools. The thing they teach them to memorize. They teach them basically accept. We printed our own money, much of it tell you that they don't want you. And as far as I'm concerned, we gave $1 billion. Americans donated $1 billion to. Money went to the media. All of that money went to the television. All that money went to the newspapers. We have a shot here. We got a little shot here with the internet. The internet and oh, the rabbis came out against the internet because they don't want you doing that any more than they want you reading. They didn't want you reading the Bible back in the second, third, fourth centuries. The Catholic Church tried to stop you from reading the Bible. They just wanted you to listen to what the priest told you about it. Control of our religions, and you know, Constitution protects you. You can worship any way you want according to the Constitution. You want to beat your head against that wall? Where are we at here? Did I lose you?
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Yeah. But you know, I watched when Charles Collins got up to speak to tell people that we could buy back the Federal Reserve. They cut the cameras off. They just flat cut the cameras off.
We don't even need to buy it back. We just need to kick them out and start reprinting our own dollars once again on hemp paper and start recirculating it in this country. That's the whole thing about our economy and our money and everything else. The problem is we keep spending it faster than we can make it, and that's depleting our system here. Our whole country's like a living body. If you go and get your blood tapped out of you every day, you're eventually going to die. And that's the same with our economy and our currency. We need to print it ourselves, recirculate it, just like our blood, and it'll build up our system first before we allow any international trade, is what it's called, but it's just a con to get all of our money and to deplete our resources and make us sick all over. This springtime, the HARP systems have been focusing their attention on the Midwest, causing rain. This is all during the planting season. It's supposed to be, and that'll stymie all the crops if they even come in, and make it so they don't get the same amount of produce that they should. Also out here in the valley areas of California, they've cut off much of the water supply, so they're not going to be raising the crops that they have for the last 20 years out here, so that's also going to drive the food prices right through the ceiling this fall. So these are all real strategic maneuvers, but everyone can see exactly what's happening, or at least anyone who's got half a brain in their heads. And myself being raised on a farm, I understand what's going on exactly with the water. So we need to sit up in our seats and pay attention. Our HARP system is ruining the crops this summer, and the wars are ruining our economy overseas and all different places of the world. If we can just get this next election, Clayton, and if I can just get into the presidential seat, we can bring all of our military home, use them to fix up our roads. We can absolutely demolish the HARP sites, which will put our weather back to normalcy. We can start to grow our crops. And besides all this, the moon above, which looks real pretty at night, was brought in here 12,500 years ago by a reptilian race, caused our planet to tilt 10 degrees, and that's going to be imploded by our friends, the Galactic Federation of Planets. They've already communicated this to me a few years back, and they told me if I do get the presidency, which they're pretty sure I will, they're going to blow it up for us. And then they're going to bring in a loop-shaped star base with docking ports where we'll fly our first starships out of.
Now, hold on just a second, David. I'm gonna address that later, but I've been talking to you here, and some fool on the chat room says you said we should give all our guns to the government. I didn't hear you say that. I think he's a lying sucker, and I never heard you say anything like that.
Oh, no. I'm just telling everybody to quit target practicing and save their ammo now for using it for what it's designed to do. Don't be blowing your guns off anywhere at anything, any target practice, because it may not be available on the market for much longer. But no, hang on to your weapons. Everybody should be buying them up like as fast as they can and arming themselves, because it's going to come down to exactly that soon. You know, it's going to be like even grandmothers and grandfathers are going to be loading their shotguns soon. Just sit on the front.
Absolutely. We're the most well-armed country, and right here in Texas, we've got the biggest army out there. It's called licensed hunters.
Yep. And
No,
veterans of today, too. All the guys come back from the war bring their weapons with them. So, yeah. And it really doesn't matter what kind of weapon you've got, whether it's a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, or one of these new high-powered, rapid-fire weapons that have been sold in the last 20 years. It's all going to work. There's only so many police out there, and there's only so many military if they bring them in. They're not a
project. They're trying to get people stars out there. Got to be more billions of planets to think we're the only ones in the universe. Has advice from the
apprehensive. I noticed that each alien seemed to be concentrating on communicating or It is also true that we've been it is also true that agreements population wasn't ready for we say advice, quote unquote, because we respect the fact that this is your planet silent pause. Then I asked, why aren't we doing that now? Silence. I was willing to wait. I'd come a long way to be treated like this by them, have this kind of meeting. Apparently I had earned their...
Alright, we broke up here. Lost Skype for a second here. Are you back, David? Richard, where are we? Alright, we're trying to get back up here. Richard, where are you? Shows we're connected, but I don't hear nothing.
Right.
Alright, I've got you back here.
Obviously,
I've got you back here. I had to switch computers here. David, I couldn't hear you there for a second, but go ahead.
yeah. Well, it sounded like fireworks going off for about 30 seconds. I just was commenting how it sounded like we just won this next election already.
Well, I was thinking something a lot worse, David, when I heard all those. It sounded like machine gun fire almost.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys continue. Sorry about that.
Well, they sound a lot the same, you know. We used to, in the old West days, they used to pull out their 6-shooters and let them all rip whenever there was a big celebration in town, and whoever bought a round of beer for everybody at the bar. So we've never seen those old cowboy movies, and it sounded kind of like that to me. But just a scare tactic, probably. But,
well, I don't. I'm telling you, they don't want us knowing about the ETs. They don't want us knowing that they actually talk to us. That's one of the things that they pointed out in the Disclosure Project. They pointed out that the ETs communicated telepathically, and if they and sometimes they would go out, a group of people would go out, and they would actually show up in the UFOs.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, these beings too, I don't want anybody to think they look any different than we do. Most of the planets that are settled now, they look just like humans. You can't tell the difference if they walk down the street between one of us and one of them. They are humans. They're exactly like us. They're just a little bit further along in their evolutionary experience and their governmental structures, and they're all settled in peace. They're peaceful planets that all work with each other, and that's the funniest thing about it all. Is the only real weird-looking aliens out there are the reptilians and the greys, and there's maybe a few other sorts floating around, but the majority of them all are in human bodies, and they're just ahead of us in evolutionary experience. That's the only difference. And in fact, as I've said to you before on previous programs, about 20 years ago when I was living on Venice Beach, a saucer craft appeared over our house for 2 days in a row, and on the third day they sent down one of their shipmates, and he took a surf lesson from us right in the front yard. He looked just like a human being, and we didn't even know who he was until after he left. But I wanted to tell everybody, they're here on our behalf. They're here to help us, and they're here to welcome us as a planet to join the Galactic Federation and then to exchange personnel with other worlds. And this is what's in our future very, very soon. This is if we all desire it. And I think we all do. We've all been kind of raised on the old Star Trek program, and we're all kind of well indoctrinated to this idea of living in a universe with other friendly planets, rather than this old Jewish idea of telling us we're the only life on the only grain of sand in this entire universe, and we don't even know about God or anything. There's plenty of people that know who God is and what it is and just what's really going on. In fact, Clayton, the word God actually means one male spirit and 7 female spirits. The 8 of them make everything. And the male side just retains all the electrical energy, and it's females that did all the creation in 7 different universes. We're in one of them. So we all can say thank you to our mother. I did yesterday, my earthly mother and my spiritual mother, for this entire ball of dirt that's going around and everything that's on it. She made it, and she's the mother of creation. And our father, like I said, he just sits back and nods his approval every time something good happens here, because he's just watching and chuckling at the moment. But
well, I have a little different way of looking at that, David. To me, God is the thing that holds the atoms together, that forms the atoms, and with a knowledge of that and the ability to communicate like that, I think that might explain how they could do these multi-ton rocks that are fitted perfectly together, shaped perfectly. I don't believe a bunch of Arabs did it with with copper tools. Nobody built the pyramids with copper tools. They were able to manipulate the rocks. They were able to levitate. And the Vimanas, they talk about those for thousands of years. And I don't necessarily believe in ETs. I believe that what we call ETs today are simply people, entities, born on this planet that went to space thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of years ago. And
exactly. Well, supposedly there's been six evolutionary experiences upon this planet, and each of them have gone down at one time or another through floods and whatnot. And yes, that's true. Even Atlantis was here at one time, and those Brahmanas, that's a very interesting subject matter over in the Middle East. They've supposedly found one in a time well, and they're trying to get it out right now. And in India, I saw a video last night that spoke extensively about the buildings in India and whatnot, and how they're designed and they look just like the Brahmanas used to in a few thousand years ago when they were flying them around. And all they are is
lost you for a second here, David. Again, they don't want us. There we go. We're trying to get the call back. Let's see if it comes back. Yeah, okay. You're back now. You're back, buddy.
Individual shooters, killing 20, 30 kids, or the fact that the police are burning up Waco, Texas, or whatever. I mean, sure, it's terrible that this is happening, and I feel for all the people that are dead, but this information, this great information about our past history, and it's just so much more enlightening to me than listen to any negatives. So, granted, we have to listen to the news, and we have to hear about somebody getting shot today, but this has been going on since the beginning of time. I mean, even back in the Wild West days, there was getting somebody strung up every week. And what we're going to be doing soon is kind of maybe what Iceland's been doing over there. They've been stringing up their bankers and whatnot by the neck with ropes and hanging them in the center of town so everybody can see them. And I've read where the financiers have left the country, and what they did is they declared all debts null and void. They zeroed out everyone's what they owe to the bank, and they're starting over. And that's what we need to do here in this country.
That's biblical. Now, my Friday guest is Dr. Jake Wade, and that's biblical too. It's called the Jubilee year. And that's what we need in this country, because first of all, these bankers stole the money from us illegally, according to the Constitution. And they murdered every president that tried to go against them. One of these idiot Jews on here on the chat room was saying that the Civil War was a hoax. Again, just trying to get a rise out of somebody, but the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. We actually, the farmers and the blacks that worked the farms, a lot of them fought on the side of the plantation owners, and the slavery was going on in the north, in the cities. I mean, the cities are our concentration camps, folks, today. This is exactly what they are. And the hoax was that they tried to tell you the Civil War was fought over slavery. It wasn't. It was about the money. It was about the banking. It was about taking over the farms, just like every communist takeover. And the Civil War was instituted and instigated by the Rothschilds, by the bankers. They wanted us fighting each other. They're doing the same thing today with the Republicans and the Democrats, the liberals and the conservatives. That is false flags. That is wanting you to be afraid, wanting you to hate your neighbor, not wanting you to work together. And that's what these trolls are on the chat room here, trying to stir up trouble, trying to find something. Oh, he said this. He said this. No, he didn't. You're a lying sack of crap. Now, that's just my opinion. Maybe you're really bright in the whatever school you went to, in the public fool system. Maybe you memorized well, but to me, you're an idiot if you're trying to interfere and trying to stop knowledge and trying to prevent education. That's why we have Timothy Bible College. That's why we have the Little Red Schoolhouse. The people that graduate from the Little Red Schoolhouse do far better in the academia in their grades than anybody in the public fool system. And I can testify to that. I had somebody, after I got out of the Army, I was going to try to go to work for General Dynamics, and some guy was sitting next to me bragging about his GED at 46%, how he'd scored so high. My GED was 93%, which, and well, there we go, I lost it again here. Hold on while we're trying to get the call back. All right, are you back? Are you back, David? Yeah.
Mechanics of
all right, got you back.
Of our products.
Repeat what you just last said. I just lost it for a second. Can you hear me, David? All right, I've lost it again here. Really messing with our connection today. Try to get me back, Richard. I'm trying to get David back. Trying to get David back here. All right, switched over.
Two HARP systems in Nevada and Alaska, and that could all be done overnight. We just send in crews that just...
I'm not sure where I've got you now. I've got you up on two computers here. All right, do I have you, David? Where? God. All right, got you back.
You listen to Revolution Radio, freedom. Come on, we'll be right back.
A dictatorship! Oh, be quiet. Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
Everybody's out of work, or scared of losing their job. Dollar by the nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Some people keeping time under the cargo ship. Banks are running wild in the streets. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We know things are bad, worse than bad. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your Congress members. I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has done it. Do you? You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. the Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yeah, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. You oppose government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live's topic-driven talk radio. List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio. Available now at TalkStreamLive.com.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos. Think what ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it right.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
You're caught in a dream. The adventure begins. Put your seat backs and tray tables in the upright position as we take a trip in the very fabric of reality. Join me, Andrew Parsons, for Adventures into Reality, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. Any survival or gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right. We've got David. Are you still with me?
Oh yes.
All right. We've been having blocking. I haven't walked outside to see if there's a black van parked down the street from me, but evidently they don't want. They don't like what I got to say, and we got a few trolls on the internet posing as real people that don't want us to. Don't want the information we're putting out to get out either. We just played in the first half of the show here. We played a video by Paul Hellyer, which is a former Secretary of Defense of Canada, talking about the ETs being here. And again, I don't think they're necessarily extraterrestrials. I think they're advanced terrestrials from a terrestrial civilization that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years, possibly even more, that have gone out into space before. And as far as God is concerned, let me get my little religious licks in here. If you're omnipotent and you're omniscient and you're capable of creating universes and galaxies and Earth-like planets, and you're omniscient and omnipotent, and you're the only one of your kind, I'd say you'd have to be just bored out of your skull. And so what do? You're omniscient and omnipotent. You know everything. You can do anything. You create man with a bit of your divinity that we call the soul, or that we call conscience. You give him amnesia and free will, and you turn him loose. And as Shakespeare said, the whole world's a stage. So God sits back and we provide his entertainment. And he goes, well, I just wonder what Clay's going to do today. I wonder how he's going to handle the idiots on the talk room, chat room. Wonder how David's going to get his point across. And he's part of our audience here, folks. Now, right before we came back here, there was a commercial for TalkStream Live. I hope we're broadcasting on TalkStream Live, but one of our hosts here on Revolution Radio, and folks, this is real important. You need to know about this because this is why your donations and your book orders are so essential to Free American and Freedom's lips. This is why they're essential. Next week, Wednesday, May 22nd, I'll have Dennis Fecho on. His website is the Illuminatus Observer. He was kicked off of TalkStream Live for having one of my guests, one of my regulars, John Kaminsky, on. And I posted this information from Dennis up on my website, that there has been a disturbing trend in the alternative streaming news segment. When seen in light of the de facto operating unaccountable Jewish censors, Americans and the world at large are seeing their choices of media programming increasingly censored, including completely disappeared from the World Wide Web in an effort by Jews to preclude any mention of Jewish involvement in the theft of trillions of dollars from the U.S. economy, Jewish involvement in the poisoning of the food supply, Jewish involvement in the phony war on terror, Jewish involvement in the attack on the United States known as 9/11, and Jewish media manipulations, to name but a few. All of the above realities, plus the Jewish involvement in the attempted frame-up of the Syrian government and the use of chemical weapons in the early part of May 2013, hint at an agenda by global Jewish interests to bring citizenry of the Western civilization powers into another war in the Middle East for the benefit of Jewish geopolitical interests, and it is precisely this effort to keep reality under the blanket and out of the sight and earshot that has de facto Jewish censors working tirelessly to bully and threaten website owners and aggregators. Traditional American and Western values of free speech are being ground down in favor of an Orwellian Jewish Bolshevik construction. As Alexander Solzhenitsyn so aptly revealed, we cannot state that all Jews are Bolsheviks, but without Jews there would never have been Bolshevism. Well, we lost that again. All right, we'll try it on this computer. We'll try it on this computer, and all right. Yeah, the one thing that interrupted us here than the truth. The blood-maddened Jewish terrorists had murdered 66 million victims in Russia from 1918 to 1957. Now, why don't you hear about Trying to play that. Almost to the point of being too late. Alright. Sure don't like him, do they? Problem with this call. You still back yet?
Nuclear and biological contamination. Your planet is overpopulated. Warning. It is.
Yeah, they're cutting it off. Can't hear you, Richard. Problem with the call on the second computer.
Welcome to Blog Talk. Please enter your host PIN. When finished, press the pound key. I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number. I'm sorry, but thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Alright. Have I got you back here? David? Richard? Hello. Alright, have I got you back here? Richard, David, I'm still trying to get you here. Alright, trying it this time. Trying it on this computer. Can you hear me? David, Richard, I'm trying to get you.
And do it to everything you drink. Just don't do it to your beer or your soda pop because it'll make it go flat in about 45 seconds. But it makes wine taste sweet. It makes wine taste delicious, and it makes a big difference in all the beverages you drink.
Been doing that to my coffee for about a year now. I finally got back on here. I've tried it on 2 different computers. We finally got hooked back up.
You're sitting on pretty good there right now.
All right. Yeah, I've got you on the first main computer. I was just trying to play the last of this clip from Paul Hellyer. He's a former Minister of Defense of Canada. He's the one that's talking about the ETs warning us. Somebody on the chat room asked me to play the last portion of this. Let me try it, see if we get it.
Almost to the point of being too late.
Almost to the point of being too late.
Unless your people act. There are better ways of deriving energy. And
better ways of deriving energy. Yes, we are aware of that. And we're being interfered with that. They don't even want you to hear this former Minister of Defense tell you about this stuff.
Well, they're all scared. They're all scared and running for the hills or running for the holes in the ground that they've had dug the last 30, 40 years. That's what they're doing. And, you know, I've heard that we could expect a nuclear explosion in Washington, D.C., but the facts are is they're already prepared with underground facilities below the new Colorado airport to house our government if this plan is carried through. I've also heard that the Vatican may get bombed by the Jesuits, and they're going to blame it on the Middle East terrorists, so to speak. And the Pope could be moving to Argentina soon, moving the Vatican to Argentina down south of us here. So both of these are plans that are still in the makings, but it's been talked about on the internet. And like I said earlier, the internet's where you find all the news that's really going to matter and what's really going on, not the newspapers or the four major networks. They're just all they talk is what they're told to talk, and they really can't be honest about anything anymore.
There's a former CIA man who stated exactly that. He said us bloggers, people like Clay Douglas and are that are doing these talk shows that are going on the internet are where we're getting the real news, are where we're being told the truth. And this is how we got to fight these people like this. Now here, let me try to get this back up.
Those in power are aware of this and have the capability of putting these methods into worldwide use. And let this digest for a moment. I definitely had the feeling that these creatures are speaking as one. Then I asked, why aren't we doing that now? Silence. I was willing to wait. I'd come a long way to be treated like this by them, to have this kind of meeting. Apparently I had earned their respect and trust. The best part was that I was getting direct, truthful answers to my questions. I decided that I would milk this rare situation to its fullest, asking as many questions as I could get away with, even personal ones. I repeated my question and the answer. Those in power view it as a military and security threat. That upset me. You mean to tell me that the people in power have the ability to save and better the planet? And they aren't doing it? Amnesty. What do you mean? Complete amnesty to those in power. Governments and leaders who have been suppressing the truth. That they can't be held liable for any past wrong deeds. It is the only way these leaders can come forward with the truth. It is necessary that you do this in order to work together and survive. I think that's wonderful advice straight from...
All right, that was the former Defense Minister of Canada telling you the truth about the ETs, if they are ETs at all. And I believe that there is, and a matter of fact, I wrote books about this, David, 45 years ago, that these, we're not talking about demons, we're talking about actual beings that you might know as gods, you might know as Lucifer, you might call them the Nephilim. They've been around for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and as you stated, and as I wrote about them 45 years ago, I am just now updating them with all of the information that I've accumulated over that 45 years. They look just like you and me. They're not much different except for certain genetic abilities that have been bred or taken out of us. So we could not become, as Jesus said, you can do everything I do and more. They don't want you to know of that ability. That's why the Pharisees, the Jews of the day, the neocons of the day, the priests of the day, the rabbis of the day, that's why they killed Jesus, because he was giving you power. He was telling you the truth will set you free. We could walk on the water, You know, we could heal people. We don't need these medicines. We don't need this new world order control of our minds. We don't need that. Truth will set you free, and folks, that's why you should be donating to Revolution Radio. That's why this show gets more blocked than any other show. I'm not talking against God. I'm not an atheist at all. I'm telling you that God exists within you. God is what holds the atoms of this table together. And He holds your atoms together. And a spark of His divinity, His eternal knowledge, has been put within you. All you have to do is learn how to use it. That should be the hope. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be, you can be angry. You can be angry a little bit. Just don't be afraid. The elite don't have the power they want you to believe they have, or we'd still be under the Syrian Empire, or we'd still be under the Roman Empire, or we'd still be under the British Empire. We have defeated them time and time again. It's not an easy thing to do, because they have all the money, because they print it. They have all the media, because they bought it. And your founding father, Thomas Jefferson, told you 200 some odd years ago, 225, 26 years ago, that if you allow a private bank to issue your money, the banks and the corporations that spring up around them will leave your children homeless in the land that we conquered. Now, I'm not saying, folks, that it was right what we did. We were still being under the influence of the British Empire when we poisoned the Indians, when we gave them smallpox, when we put smallpox under blankets and gave it to them. And we're probably paying for that right now. As a matter of fact, in my film, which is still available right now, of the first Homeland Security meeting, it's called The True Face of FEMA. You've got Colonel John Brinkerhoff telling law enforcement in Sandia Labs, and I slipped John Gentry in there to film it. He's telling you, in case of a single outbreak of smallpox, now keep in mind when he's saying this, smallpox has been eradicated from this country for 100 years. In case of one outbreak of smallpox in a major metropolitan area, we'll need 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people, because some of them just won't follow orders. In other words, and this was the first part of our show today, folks, some of us won't line up on the Walmart parking lot to get our mandated vaccines, and they intend on doing that at gunpoint because some of us just won't follow orders. Now, this is their plans coming from their words, and he's asked, are you talking about the National Guard, Colonel? And he said, no. They're too expensive. Besides, they're going to be in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or Iran or someplace over there. But the war, this time, the enemy doesn't have tanks, it doesn't have planes, it doesn't have jets, it doesn't have helicopters. So they're going to use unconventional means. The enemy he is talking about, folks, in this film, which I did over 10 years ago, which they probably, one of the reasons the Mossad tried to kill me, is he was asked, are you talking about National Guard? No, no. So who is he talking about? He's talking about the illegals. He's talking about the gangs. All you got to do to be legal now is sign up for the Army, follow orders, help disarm your the Americans. And folks, this is what is happening. And this is this is an agenda by global Jewish interests to bring the citizenry of Western civilization powers into another war in the Middle East for the benefit of Jewish geopolitical interests. It is precisely this effort to keep reality under the blanket and out of sight and out of earshot that has de facto Jewish censors working tirelessly to bury, bully, and threaten American owners, website owners, and aggregators. Traditional American and Western values of free speech are being ground down in favor of Orwellian Jewish Bolshevik construction. And as Alexander Solzhenitsyn so aptly revealed, we cannot state that all Jews are Bolsheviks, but without the Jews, there could have never been Bolshevism. For a Jew, nothing is more insulting than the truth. The blood-maddened Jewish terrorists had murdered 66 million victims in Russia from 1918 to 1957. They are doing the same thing right now with their pharmaceuticals, with their genetically modified foods. And oh, if you talk about it, oh, you must be anti-Semitic. This doesn't matter. And you can say the same thing. You know, not all Jews are Zionists, but without Jews there would have never been Bolshevism. And this is all on the cover of somebody, a gentleman who I've invited on my show, put up billboards in New York about the Palestinians. And he pointed out, and of course it ignited the same kind of Jew fury. Listen to this.
The endless debate over politics, religion, and territory is now coming to, of all places, a train station near you. Mr. Scott Rappaport has more on an explosive ad that's igniting a firestorm of controversy.
Provocative poster.
What is this about?
At the Metro North train station here in White Plains, this politically charged ad is raising eyebrows.
That's quite amazing, if you ask me.
The ad shows a shrinking Palestinian territory in Israel over the years and refers to 4.7 million Palestinians there as refugees. The ads are appearing in 50 Metro North train stations. Some Jewish leaders are concerned.
I think the ad is very offensive. It's certainly offensive to Jews.
David Afun is the editor of the Jewish newspaper, The Alchemator. He says the ad is anti-Semitic.
That paints Jews as aggressors, as imperialists, people that are stealing or taking land from others.
The Palestinian people have lost most of their own homeland.
Henry Clifford, chairman of a group called the Committee for Peace in Israel and Palestine, spent $25,000 of his own money on the ads.
What do you hope we can get out of this? What do you hope it comes from this? To educate people. Simply to open their eyes, let them see what has happened on that map.
And all of this has caught the eyes of commuters here in White Plains.
I thought it was all settled back in the 70s with the Six-Day War.
My reaction is why is there an anti-Israel ad sitting here at the train station?
Afun is calling for the MTA to take the ads down. The MTA says it doesn't restrict ads on the basis of viewpoint, and while it doesn't endorse this ad, the posters will remain up. Scott Rappaport, CBS 2 News.
And the Anti-Defamation League calls the ad deliberately misleading, biased, and fundamentally anti-Israel.
Yeah, I'm sure the ADL would say that. Your reaction to that? These are billboards. They're pointing out that Palestine in 1946, under the UN plan in 1947, from 1949 to 1967, it had shrunk down. So now you've got all of these Palestinians just in the Gaza Strip and a couple of other places there. They've been imprisoned, and I believe, David, that they are trying to do that. They plan on doing that to us already at West Point, and the CDC, I believe that's what they call it. They have stated that to oppose the New World Order makes you a terrorist. And the war on terror is a war, I've told you this again, folks, the war on terror is a war against anyone, anywhere that opposes the New World Order, the one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters. David.
Yes, yes, it is. And I'd like to remind everyone out there listening that this control group is less than 1% of this planet's population. And it really amazes me at the control factor that they have involved now, paying off all the news channels and the papers they bought up, and all the different avenues of information that they're corrupted. But they are less than 1%, and they really don't have a firm grip on anything. They never really have. They've run the Rothschild family bankers for a long, long time, but that's the way they were controlling us all. And it's just in this day and age, you understand that we have the internet, and that's why this information is being put before us now, so that we can all listen to it, digest it, and learn from what's really going on in the world. All the wars that have been fought in the last 100 years have all been staged by this control group. They've all been set up and planned by them. In fact, Pearl Harbor was even known about by our president weeks before it actually happened, and he was told to shut up and just let it happen, so that the United States would be pulled into the war over in Europe. And that was in order that the Allies could win, of course, but otherwise we'd all be speaking German over here, because Hitler would have kicked everybody's butt if the United States had come in and saved Russia and England and France and everybody else.
Well, David, I feel that we had 3 communist countries that united to oppose Germans, and it was the Jews, the National Jewish Congress, or whatever the Jewish group was in America back then, like AIPAC, that declared war against the German people. This is, well, years before the war actually broke out. Years before.
Well, yeah, that's probably right.
And they banned all of the German cutlery, all of the German-made products. They did a boycott against German goods, and this is one of the reasons the Germans were so irritated at the Jews. And after World War II, it was the Jewish bankers that did the Versailles Treaty and kept trying to keep the Germans down and keep their economy down. And they're going to do the same thing to us in America, especially the patriots, the people that are opposing the New World Order. They're going to crash our dollar. They don't care. All they got to do is print more. All they got to do is change it. All they got to do is give you that little chip that'll tell the doctors what medication you need and how much money's in your bank account.
Well, this is all upon the fact that they can take this next election. If they don't get another Democrat or Republican into office in this next election, they're going to lose every control factor they've ever had. Because once I get up to the podium and Jimmy Ventura takes office with me, we're going to be telling the truth and nothing but the truth from here on out to the general public all over the country, all over the world, in fact. And those Rothschilds, they maybe are going underground for a little while, but we can still flush them out, and we can still take care of all the countries of this world. We don't need to be fighting any more wars on this planet, never ever again. There may be a few battles we're going to have in space against invading planets and armadas out there, but not on this planet. This planet is scheduled to become once again the paradise that it was back in the Eden days when Adam and Eve incarnated here. And by the way, I wanted to let everyone know out there that Adam and Eve were not the first man and woman on the planet. This planet had been settled for thousands, millions of years prior to their arrival. And what they came here to do was to upscale the population and bring peace to this entire place. They were not the first humans on the planet. So anybody that's been told that by your priests or rabbis or whoever, they're feeding you a bunch of crap. And they're lying to you through their teeth. So don't believe that old story either. the Bible has actually been altered at least 14 times I've read since the Nicene Council meeting put it together and decided what books to keep out of it, and those are known as the Gnostic books. It's been altered 14 times, and all those parts about Jesus turning water into wine, that's an altered part, and there's many others as well. So even the part about the Ark of the Covenant being built in the desert by the ancient Israelites, that's an altered part too. The Ark was actually brought from the pyramid at Giza by Moses. He stole it out of the pyramid and took it with the Israelites when they left. That's how they crossed the Red Sea, and they carried it with them for years and years afterwards, and then finally installed it into the temple that Solomon built for his father David in ancient Israel. That part is an altered section of the Bible as well. So, like I say, you can't really tell what parts have been changed or not, but if you read with a discerning eye, that is, read between the lines, as I do, and you've got a little bit of insight as to what's really true and what's not true, you can tell what's been changed around. Actually, that part about Moses going up Mount Sinai twice to get two different sets of slabs, that's a bunch of bull hockey, and it sounds like an old Jewish story to me. It always did, and now I know why. But yeah, there's the Bible is not exactly true, all parts of it, because like I say, it's been altered, but the majority of those stories are true. There actually were giants around that David knocked down with a stone in his sling, and they're even unearthing skeletal remains of those ancient beings nowadays. And that may be where some of these giant stones were set in place a long time ago by these huge beings that were up to 35 feet tall. Like I say, you can't take everything you read for a fact nowadays, and the Bible is definitely a place that some of it's been altered. But the Urantia book, which is a wonderful, voluminous book, which is put out by the Urantia Foundation out of Chicago, Illinois, can be purchased online. You can even view some of it on the YouTube, and it is angelic communications through a sleeping man in the 1930s to 40s, and the information was purchased by Mr. Kellogg, the company that makes Kellogg's Corn Flakes and everything else. He obtained the transcripts through a personal psychiatrist friend of his who was handling this sleeping old man's talking in his sleep. He had recorded the information and sold it to Mr. Kellogg, who set up the Urantia Foundation. And the book is now available. I paid $35 for a used copy about 15 years ago that I obtained from a bookstore, a used bookstore here in Venice, California, and it just blew me away. It has the actual story of Adam and Eve in there. And did you know that Adam and Eve raised about 150 children before Eve chose to have a child with the neighboring Andite tribe? A representative came over and she did the hoochie-coochie with him one night and bore him a child. And that's what caused Adam and Eve to be disallowed to continue existence, because she broke the covenant that they had with the creators at that time. Not knowing, of course, women do things like this on their own, but this is what actually happened in the Adam and Eve story. But like I said, all the facts and figures which are really in question are in this book, the Urantia book, and I would suggest to any listeners to purchase this book and read it for themselves. The fourth section of the book is the life and teachings of Jesus, which is fascinating section of the book. It traces his years from 0 up to 33 when he was crucified, and it quotes the Bible in several places, and it adds to the story and really makes it all really, really believable. I know there's people out there that don't even believe that he was in physical existence, but all these different prophets and many different questions can be answered by this book entitled the Urantia book. So pick it up, take a look at it today, and or access it on the YouTube and see what you think.
All right, we got Bob Tuscan in here in the chat room, who covered for a murderer by the name of Ray Powell, who beat his best friend to death, and is charged with it. And I simply asked him a question: is he still in jail, or did you bail him out? And he won't answer that. Oh, and now he's, oh, Free Americans not following rules of chat. Oh, gee, help me. Here's the same type of Jewish censorship that that the Fletch experienced here. And, you know, somebody else here, somebody else is trying to, you know, start trouble. Well, you know, you haven't asked Jesse Ventura that. That's just his first choice as to run with you, because he is part of the revolution. He is one of the people that's trying to get the truth out, and that would be your first selection. But no, you haven't talked to him because he, first of all, he's not even in this country. But I will talk to him, and I will try to have him on. So,
well, Clayton, about 5 years back, I placed into the hands of his publicists right here in Santa Monica, California, 2 of my books. I gave one of them to the publicist. And so Jesse Ventura has read my book, Farm Physics, A New Cure and More, which is available now by PublishAmerica.com. And if you remember, several years back when he first started appearing on TV, and he had kind of a shake in his jaw, and he looked a bit older. Well, I just recently saw him on a television channel with Pierce Brosnan, and he's looking younger and healthier, lost the jiggle in his jaw, and he's got a grin on his face whenever they ask him about running for president, because I sent him a 4-page typed letter that I composed in my apartment, inviting him on board as my VP candidate. So he knows what's going on, and he's fully informed, and he's ready to go, I think. He just hasn't voiced it yet on the airwaves to the general populace, but, well, you know, we've been kind of waiting on a lot of things here until the time is right. There's no reason to shoot off our guns yet and blow a lot of information that's not needed. So we're just waiting in the wings, and today, actually, I'm announcing my presidential campaign, and we're looking for donations to be coming in soon from a lot, and I tell you, a lot of the Hollywood upper elite actors and whatnot, because I shared this new cure for cancer with several different people out there. Stevie Nicks, Stevie Wonder, Sheryl Crow, Oprah Winfrey was my #1 candidate to get my book out through, but she didn't get me on her show years ago. But she's showing definite signs of just what south-spinning the electrons in your glass will do for you. And Larry King, his hair is starting to turn brown on top. Al Gore, I've sent him several postings over my Facebook page to him directly. There's a lot of people out here that are going to be getting on board in this before this next election and making donations to the cause, which is the best one that you've ever heard of or seen happen in your lives. So, you know, all these Weisenberg and Ted and all these crazy kooks, just keep stuffing the chat board with all your baloney, because nobody's even listening to you guys anymore. They're just laughing at you, as I am. So I'm just waiting to hear from Jesse any time now, because he'll be my VP candidate, and we will landslide this election by a write-in vote, where you just take a pen and sign our names to the ballot. That's all it'll take. You don't want to stick them in a die-bowl machine, because they won't count them for you. But the old write-in ballot is still in place, and it's in force, and it's what we're going to use to landslide this next election.
all right. You know, there are ways to do it. I think the Bible really told us about it. Come out of her. That was the subject when Dr. Jake Wade was on with me Friday. And the foundation, as Richard Kelly Hoskins told us, the foundation of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. We've got people in L.A. and Detroit now that are going out into the parks, into the medians, and planting vegetables, planting food. It's what needs to be done, folks. We need to grow our own food. We need to generate our own energy. And there's so many ways to do that. But it's against national security. I went to the Tesla convention a couple of years ago. And it seemed strange that there were none of Tesla's devices there. There were no wireless transmission of electricity. No one was extracting electricity from the ionosphere. No one had a magnetic motor, which they have done in Australia. No, nothing like that. And I was told that it's because it's against national security to do that. The oil companies own these, they own the media, they own everything. The bankers own the oil companies. International Monetary Fund, as we've been told by oil company insiders, are the ones making all the money off of this. And all they got to do is raise the price of gasoline by a nickel or a dime to generate more capital. And they don't want you to do it. Now one of my father-in-laws, I've had interesting father-in-laws. One of them was the Marine colonel that escorted the alien. They called him Eve, from Roswell to Truman's office. And the one before him, he'd worked on the Aswan Dam, and when he came back to Arizona, he built a Pogue carburetor. He was getting 50 miles a gallon on his truck. He was building one for Colonel Lloyd Conrad, the man that became my next father-in-law. And two guys in blue pinstripe suits showed up. Hi, Mr. Babcock, you're going to have to destroy that carburetor you got on that truck there and the one you're building for your neighbor. Yeah, what happens if I don't? We'll kill you. He said he believed him. And that's what they did. That's what they do. They don't want this power. They don't want you being self-sufficient. That's why they've got these neighborhood associations. That's why they don't want. They're just not going to allow it.
Well, that's one of the things we need to take notice of and come to terms on. Is our educational system needs to be overhauled at this moment in time. We need to be teaching our children how to grow, harvest, and prepare meals before they graduate from high school. Every household, every person's land should have an area set aside for a garden to grow crops, to raise fish in ponds or small swimming pools. And you can even put a chicken coop in your backyard and raise your own chickens for meat, and they can lay eggs. All these types of food can be grown and harvested individually by members of our society. And like I say, the school systems need to be overhauled and taught the correct way to do things. Teachers aren't at fault. Teachers are overloaded nowadays with students, and they're using the older teachers. I've got a boy that lives just down the hallway from me. He's in 4th grade like my son is. He's got a 70-year-old teacher. She's got 30 kids in his 4th grade class, and she's almost crying every night because she can't teach them math. You know, mathematics is the basics for everything else that you're learning. Just to know how to make change for your gasoline and your rent and pay your bills, that's a basic necessity for a child's education. And they're just trying to dumb them all down. And like we said earlier on the program with the vaccines, they're trying to kill them off or make them all stupid walking zombies. So this is something that just isn't going to happen, Clayton. I won't allow it, and I know you won't either. If we have the ability, if we're given the choice, as I said on the chat board a moment or two ago, if I get the presidency, I'm going to ask you to become head of the FBI, and you can start cleaning house after that. I'll tell you.
I would clean house. You know, I've got answers to this whole the problem we've got, and Alex Jones actually gets something right when he talks about prison planet. That's we have more people in prison in this country than any other country, any other communist country out there, any other one.
Yep.
And
Yep, it sure does.
you know, my way of handling this, and if you were president, my suggestion to you would be to abolish all laws against victimless crimes. If you want to go over and sit in that corner over there and shoot heroin, I would rather you kill yourself that way than to put you in prison and house you and use you for slave labor while we charge the citizens $50,000 a year to keep you in clothes and food. If you shoot somebody and you steal from somebody, if you're a murderer, we just hang you on the spot. If you as soon as you are convicted here, we don't have to house you. Murder is a capital offense, and if you've been stealing, whether you're a banker or a petty thief, you work in a road cruise until you repay whatever it was you stole, whoever you stole from. And if you want to snort cocaine, you want to do anything else, you want to smoke pot, you want to grow hemp in your backyard, go ahead. Go ahead. Without a victim, there is no crime.
Yes, well, that's one of the things that we need to bring back into vogue is the famous death penalty. And this is what I'm going to see we bring back in immediately for all elected presidents, congressmen, and senators. That means that if you get caught with your hands in the cookie jar, you will be put to death. Just plain and simple. And all these rapists, child molesters, and different people who have stolen from our government millions and millions of dollars, they'll be put to sleep as well. We don't need these people around, and I certainly don't see any reason for our taxpayers to keep them housed, clothed, and fed in a cage for the rest of their lives. I just as soon just take them off the planet. And this is exactly what I'm going to do. So like I said, if I get elected president, the death penalty will come back into play, and it'll be used appropriately for the people who deserve it. And no one who steals under $1 million will be put to death. They'll just be caused to work and pay it back. But if you're going to be raping women, child molesting, or doing any of these horrendous types of murders at all, you'll be put to sleep. You will be tried, of course, but then you'll be put to sleep. You won't be housed, clothed, and fed for any length of time and then allowed to re-enter society.
All right, Gerber, go. Hang on, David. Hang on, David. Go ahead, Gerber.
Sure. Can I ask a question? Because
yes, sir.
We just got a few minutes, right? I'd like to know how will you manage the Trilateral Commission, the Foreign Council, the Council of Foreign Affairs, and the Bilderbergs, that power empire, to accomplish the things to get us back right in this country. That's an evil first system.
If you let me answer now, all we have to do is print up our own dollar bills, recirculate them in our country, and we don't have to give a diddly squat about anything going on outside the walls of this country for 7 years. We need to rebuild our body, that is our people, get jobs back, get the country into production. We can make anything this world has ever wanted and export it to them. But we don't need to buy into any of these crooked plans and any of these Bilderbergs or the Trilateral Commission. It's all corrupt. It's all run by the same small group, which is causing the problems at the moment. And that's how we'll do it.
And Gerber, let me say this.
Sure.
Let me say this. If we have enough evidence against these banksters against Geithner, against these tax cheats, against these Council on Foreign Relations, one world government schemers. We have enough of them. If we go back to the jury system, the grand jury system, we can put them all in jail where they belong, do like Iceland did, put the bankers in jail, and take the money and reimburse the American people who've been ripped off for 100 years.
Clay, you're exactly right. God bless you guys.
God bless you. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
And folks, if you go to freeamerican.com, click on shop.freeamerican.com, make a donation to us, make a donation to Revolution Radio, keep us on the air. God bless you all.
Hey guys. Okay.
Thank you, Clayton. I just want to tell you.
We're off air.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
That was a great show. Thank you both.
Thank you, David.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
good show, guys. Right on.
Thanks, dear girl.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Appreciate that.
No problem. My ship crashed, so I said, damn. I didn't want to reboot, so I jumped in with you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Glad to have you on. Call in any time.
No problem. But I don't want to do, and I just wasn't sure. I probably passed my question to Richard Monster there, and maybe that's it.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
That's all good.
Yeah, okay.
And anyway, yeah, it was a good show. So, I saw another video, the one that I showed you about Heller was excellent. But I saw another one where Bush is fucking talking to the Council on Foreign Affairs and a bunch of special guests.
It's Council on Foreign Relations, bud. CFR.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But he's talking to some dignitaries, Cheney, all of these guys. I got to go find it. He's saying the American flag represents nothing but totally opposite tyranny, of just totally opposite. Oh, I'm telling you, it's a rant and some shit that, and you can tell it's really George Jr. I'm gonna have to find it, and I'll link you guys to it.
You know, I got kicked off of a radio station for quoting the president. I said that he said the Constitution is just a goddamn piece of paper. So he obviously showed how he felt about that.
Was that recent president or?
That was Bush Jr. That was Bush Jr. Of course, his daddy is the one that goes, now we can see a new world coming into view. Henceforth we pledge allegiance to the new world order.
That prick said that in 91.
Yeah. That's why I started the militia, because it's just shit like that, you know, that and Waco.
And then he went. Then he had to get his junior in there to fucking finish up the bullshit of that. And I'll tell you what, Hussein was not, honestly, Hussein was protecting the border because Kuwait was drilling right on the border and dipping into the Iraqi preserves.
Cross drilling. They were cross drilling. Yes, sir, they were. And that was more. I think they went more after Iraq, because Iraq is mentioned in the Bible more than Palestine was.
Yes. And there was also some artifacts that the military dug up in a certain area of Iraq. They went in there and tore the place up. They found what they were doing. They took it to the UK, and a bunch of other countries were all going to study the discovery of the artifacts. And all of a sudden, boom, they were missing.
Yeah, they cleaned out the whole thing. Yeah, they don't want you to know that 100,000 years ago we had flying saucers. That the pyramids were power sources, probably from the water underneath them. Giants, yeah. We've been David and I have been looking at those. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know that I guess it's a fairy tale saying P5 fun I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Yeah.
That's really true story about those guys. It wasn't no made up fable.
Well, you know, the whole thing, our whole history has been distorted so much. Dinosaurs didn't live a million years ago. We got footprints of human footprints right here in Texas, right next to a dinosaur footprint. So, and we've got sketches and drawings from all over the world of dinosaurs. So, how long ago was that? I mean, our whole time scale has been skewed, and the pyramids weren't built 5,000 years ago. You can't test stone, you know, by radiation. So they may have been built 100,000 years ago.
I gotta go there, guys. It was a good show there, Clayton. David, good to have you on. Thanks for calling in there.
We drop. If you drop, we all drop, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
but
gonna happen.
you got my numbers. You can call me anytime. Thanks, Richard. We got tomorrow. I'll get you the names of the people we got up tomorrow.
Excellent.
Clay, I'll try and get you guys that bullshit link about Bush talking shit. You'll love it.
Yeah, shoot that over to me. Shoot that over to me.
Guys. God bless. All right, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye.
That was a good show.
Yeah, I thought so. But then I always think so.
I actually was able to get up enough to early enough to listen part of it. Aren't you impressed?
I'm impressed. I carried the laundry out.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get started on that right away. I was just looking here to see if I got any feedback from any of those places I wrote to over the weekend.
I thought it was a little heavy for you, so I carried it out.
And that's why I wanted you to carry it out.
Oh, did you?
Yes, dear.
Oh.
I thought it was a little heavy for me too.
You didn't ask me to. I thought I was doing something on my own.
Well, you were, because I hadn't asked you yet. I was going to, though. Give me a kiss before you go in there. I deserve a kiss. I was getting 2 kisses. That was not funny.